Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead. Now, I'm sure there's a million recipes for pumpkin pie out there, but I have had people ask me for my recipe, and my recipe never really is the same way twice. So I've really worked hard to try and get this all into measurements for you. So before we start our pie crust, for your filling, you're going to need 3/4 of a cup to a half a cup of packed brown sugar. You're going to need, I don't know, about a half a cup of cream. Now you can use evaporated milk. You're going to need 2 to 3 eggs, and I say 2 to 3 because I have a double yolker and a peewee, so that's 2 to 3 eggs to me. You're going to need I'm going to say a cup of pumpkin, because this is my jar, one of my jars of canned pumpkin, and it has been drained, and when it's mashed it's going to be about a cup of pumpkin. And so we have our cream, our brown sugar, our eggs, our pumpkin. Oh, and goodness me, what about our spices? We have a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. Okay, so let's start on with our pastry. Now here I have 2 cups of flour, and I've put in a half a teaspoon of salt, and only a half a teaspoon because you know me folks, butter is one of the main ingredients in my pastry. And here we have our lard. So I'm going to say for one pie crust, it's a 1/4 cup of lard and a 1/4 cup of butter to 2 cups of flour. How about that? That sounds... And as I do this, I continually coat my fats in the flour, because you want, and the reason I grate it is you want these little bits of fat in your flour, because when they melt, now, and I freeze my butter to do this, and when they melt, you want little pockets of melted loveliness in the flour, and those little bits of fat that melt, they make the flake in your pastry. So that's about right. I have a really hard time making a single pie shell, folks, because, well, I'm used to making, you know, about 5 or 6 pie shells. Okay, and here we have water, which my ice is almost melted, and I'm going to say we're going to use about a half a cup of water, and we're going to make a well in our dough, and we're just going to kind of mix that in. Like always, you hear me say, folks, you do not want to overwork your pastry, but you don't want any flour left on the bottom either. You don't need it, you just kind of get it to that point where it'll all stick together without overworking it, of course. Another tablespoon of water there to help with the flour along the bottom. A little bit more. We're almost at our half cup amount here, and we're just going to take our dough ball and very gently squeeze it together over there, and we're going to flour our cloth here. Now if you see this glass pie plate, it looks new. That's because it is. I was in Canadian Tire and they had them on for $3.50, and well, I thought, I used to have a beautiful set of 3 blue glass ones, and over the years they've gotten destroyed, lost, given away in a pie or something. So when I saw these, I went, oh, you know what? It'll make the presentation of pie so much prettier. And then, as usual, I like to pop this in the freezer, but I'm not going to put it in the oven frozen because it is a glass plate. But I just want to firm this up just a little bit. I've set the oven to 400 degrees. Now we're going to make our filling. First and foremost, what we want to do is get our eggs in there. mix my double yolker and my peewee. Then we're going to just beat these up. I could get the electric mixer out, but it's really not necessary. This is a really simple recipe. Okay, let's get our pumpkin in there. And it's cooked nice and soft, so it should beat into these eggs just lovely without any chunks. That's one of the wonderful things about home canned pumpkin, is it beats up really quick, really nice. Let's get our brown sugar in there. There we go. There's our 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup, closer to 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Boy, you sure can't tell what makes color here. There is our egg, brown sugar, and pumpkin. And see, no electric mixer needed. Now what we're going to add is our spices. And the reason I'm putting the cream in last is because, as you can see, this actually is going to make quite a bit of pie filling. And I only have that one pie. So, I don't add the cream until I know exactly how much filling I have, because I always end up making too much. So let's give that just a 1/4 cup of cream. Maybe half a cup of cream is more like, I guess, eh? There we go. All right, I do believe we're going to have enough. Now I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and I've taken this out of the freezer, and it hasn't frozen, it's just chilled it. And we're just going to pour our pumpkin in there because we have just enough. All right, now we're going to pop this into the oven for 400 degrees for 10 minutes, and then we're going to turn it down and cook it for another 20 minutes to 25 minutes at 300 to 350. All right, we'll be back when it comes out of the oven. Okay, while our pumpkin pie is baking in the oven, we're going to make supper. We're going to get supper organized. Now, somebody asked me not too long ago, they canned meat and they washed the jars because I guess one of them broke or one of them boiled over, but they washed their jars in warm soapy water, and the contents, even though they were cool, began to bubble inside. If you look, you can see that's what's happening to my rabbit. Okay, it's bubbling inside, and it's just sitting in a bowl of hot water to loosen up the broth. Because what we're going to make, and I think we're going to call it canned rabbit casserole. How about that? Something simple. And what you're going to need for this is a 1/4 jar of your home canned rabbit plus the broth. You're going to need 4 medium potatoes, medium to large, I mean a bit bigger than an apple. You're going to need 1 large onion, a frozen vegetable of your choice. In this case, ours is going to be fiddleheads, and a casserole dish. And you're going to need some cream or evaporated milk, not sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk or cream, a little bit of flour, a little bit of butter, and we will reserve our broth. So I'm going to peel up these potatoes and this onion, and we'll be back when I do the rest. Okay, first off, I drained the juice from my pumpkin and I saved it for the gravy. You don't have to do that. I use the rabbit broth, and some cream. But I'm just going to, because this is a casserole, I want to make sure I have enough juice. So there goes our rabbit juice into our pumpkin juice. Let's get rid of the water. Let's get our rabbit out of the jar. There we go. And we'll put that aside. Butter our casserole dish. Buttering a casserole dish is crucial for one simple reason. It makes getting the stuff out so much easier and makes cleanup so much easier. Okay, now let's start with some rabbit. You really do want to use your fingers as much as possible because rabbits have very fine bones. So we have a nice layer of rabbit on the bottom. Now we have our fiddleheads here, which I'm going to run under hot water just to loosen them up. We'll just drop those in there. Now, like I said, you can use any frozen vegetable you want. You can do peas or peas and carrots or corn or whatever. But most of my vegetables are canned. So the only frozen ones I have are the fiddleheads from back in the spring. And now we're just going to slice our potatoes. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to slice half our potatoes on top of the fiddleheads. Kind of like, slice like scallop potatoes. Then we're going to take our onion and we're going to slice it up nice and thin. I like onion, folks. You know how I feel about onion. Alright, there's our sliced onions. Okay, we have a layer of rabbit, a layer of fiddleheads, a layer of potatoes, a layer of onions, a layer of potatoes. Let's go over to the stove, take our pumpkin juice, our rabbit juice, some butter, some flour. Let's just throw our salt, pepper, and garlic in there. And let's put a dash of cream in there. And let's go make our gravy for this. Okay, what we have here is about a tablespoon and a half of butter, or 2 tablespoons of butter, and about, I don't know, 1/8 of a cup of flour, maybe 3 tablespoons. And we are just going to brown these together. Melt that butter up. Alright, now that we've got that all done, we're just going to take our pumpkin juice, our rabbit broth, our dollop of cream, and I've put in a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of ground garlic. Alright, we'll be back when this is thick. Alrighty, our sauce is thick, and we're just going to, now I'm right-handed, so we're just going to pour our cream gravy all over, and I did take the liberty of tasting it. It is delicious. And we're just going to pour it all over the top of our potatoes. There we go. Now, we're going to put a lid on this, and we're going to bake this at 325 degrees with the lid on for 20 minutes and then off for 20 minutes so that it can brown up, but we don't want it to dry out. Alright, we'll see you when canned rabbit casserole comes out of the oven. Alrighty, our pie is done. Oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, we're going to put our rabbit and potato casserole in the oven, and we'll see you guys at the dinner table. My, look at that. Let's get Papa to the table, shall we? Alrighty, poor tired Papa. Been out and hunting most of the day. Alright, now we have to come up with a name for this. Oh, I should have thickened the gravy a little more, I think. Poor tired old Papa. Okay, let's cut into the pumpkin pie because Papa's almost done eating his dinner. He's grouchy. He doesn't want to be on camera tonight. He's been out and about and looking for that one elusive buck. How big of a piece, Jim? Quarter pie? Oh my goodness. Papa wants a quarter of a pie. Whipped cream? Okay. Excuse you, Bryan. Would you like some pie with your whipped cream there, dear?
Very good.
This is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, Papa thinks that our new casserole dish should be called Meadow Fare because of the rabbit and the I want to say fiddleheads. Thank you. I wanted to say Brussels sprouts. Anyway, I'm going to have my pie. Have a great day. Bye-bye.